If you are struggling on catching redfish this wintertime, I'm going to give you two of the factors that I look at that I plan every single one of my trips that help me catch more redfish, and that is what the wind is doing and what the sun is doing. In the wintertime, we can have these fluctuations in temperature, not only air temperature, but water temperature, and that's why you can have these fluctuations in your performance on fishing, because these fish are going to move around, and if you're not going to adjust with them, then you can have some pretty hard days out on the water. When it comes to the sun, the difference between it coming out and not coming out is the difference on if that water temperature is going to rise or not. On a sunny day, that water temperature is going to increase. It typically gets the fish moved up shallow and they're going to feed. If the sun does not come out, then that water temperature is not going to rise up, and a lot of times these fish are going to stay deep. So that is a factor on how I'm going to start my day and where I'm going to be fishing at. Am I going to be fishing shallow, or if I'm going to stay deep, or do I start deep and then move up shallow? Those are all dependent on what the sun's going to do. Now let's talk about the wind. What I'm going to do is I'm always going to be looking for wind protection. In the wintertime, that wind really does have an effect on cooling that water temperature down. And these fish are looking for the warmest water, not the coolest water. It's the opposite of summertime. In summertime, you want a wind-blown shoreline. In the wintertime, you want a wind-protected shoreline. Even if I'm fishing in deeper water, I'm looking for that wind protection. There's just going to be more fish in those areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine both of these. I'm going to take a look at what the sun is going to do that day, and then I'm going to take a look at what the wind is going to do that day. If the sun is going to come out in the afternoon, then I'm going to pick some shorelines, a few of them, maybe 4, 5, or 6 shorelines that I'm going to go check out that are wind protected. And the reason why you want to pick out a few of them, in the wintertime, these fish are going to group up. So once you find one, there's going to be more around. So you can look at 4 or 5 different shorelines and not see anything, but that last shoreline that you check is going to have all the redfish there. Now, on a day that it's forecasted that the sun is not going to come out, then typically I'm going to start deep and I'm going to stay deep all day long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for an area that is deep, that has some wind protection, that is near a shallow area that they can move up to feed. And deep is going to be relative depending on the area that you're fishing. If you're fishing a vast, expansive grass flat that's 2 feet deep, 3 or 4 feet is deep. That's going to be the deepest water in the area. These fish are not going to travel far if they don't have to. Think about it. If a cold front comes through and drops that water temperature down 5 degrees overnight, these fish are not going to swim miles to go find 8 foot of water. They're just going to wait out the cold periods in the deepest water they can find. And if that's 4 feet, then that's where they're going to be. Now, if you're fishing in areas, say like a creek or a river mouth that might have 10 plus feet of water, then that's going to be your deeper areas. That's where you want to start looking. And you want to combine some hard structure with that. So if you can find deeper areas that's near shallow areas that has hard structures like rocks or oysters or even docks, all the better. The more you can combine in one area, the better chances you're going to have to find more redfish. Now, when it comes to what lures to use, everybody has their favorite, but for me, I'm going to use a small shrimp imitation most of the time. And the reason why is pretty much everything eats a shrimp, and that's what's abundant in the wintertime. So a small shrimp, a 3.5-inch shrimp like our Prawn Junior, is my go-to. Now, I'm going to rig this dependent on the water depth that I'm fishing at. Matter of fact, these are the two same lures. They're just rigged a little bit different. So in shallow water presentation, so we're talking about 3 feet or less, and oftentimes even less than 2 feet of water, I'm either going to put it on a really light jig head like a 10th ounce Z-Man Pro Shrooms, or I'm going to put it on a weedless rigging hook like an 1/8 ounce or a 16th ounce Haas Helix hook. When it comes to fishing deeper water, we're talking about 4 foot or even more, then I'm going to rig it on something like this. This is the Haas weedless football jig head, and the weight is going to be dependent on the depth of the water and how fast that current is. I'm going to start at 1/4 ounce, and then I'm going to go up from there. Now, as I said earlier, everybody has their favorite, but for me, to keep it simple, everything eats a shrimp, and these just produce very well for me in the wintertime. Now, if you are struggling on catching fish in the wintertime, I just want to let you know that a simple equipment change might not be the issue. If you think about it, if you are a running back in the NFL and you have the size, speed, and strength, but you fumble the football, putting on a different pair of shoulder pads or a different helmet is not going to really make you score more touchdowns. It might be the same thing with your fishing. You might have to take a look at what your situation is and address that, and that's what we can do here at Salt Strong. We have what you need in order to catch more inshore fish, whether that be using the technology like Smart Spots to help you find more spots, using the reports in our community that we literally have tens of thousands of members leaving reports in. It could be having the right tackle, which we do have the right tackle at fishstrong.com, and we have the videos that's going to help help you, the education that's going to help you. If you have any questions when it comes to inshore fishing, that these will answer those for you. So if you are having issues catching fish this wintertime, I highly recommend that you join us at Salt Strong. And right now we have a special offer to join the insider community at just $10 a month. For $10 a month, you have access to all of the information that I talked about earlier. Plus, we're going to send you $50 worth of merchandise for free for you to keep. If this is not a fit for you, we do not make you jump through hoops. It's an easy cancellation. Of course, we want you to stay, but if you decide to go, then you can even keep the merchandise that we sent you. For the link for that special offer, it's in the description below.